Hey everybody, my name is Matt. Welcome to Locked Into Leadership. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Cass Anderson. Cass, you have a guest today, so I'll let you do the honors of introducing her. Plus, I don't know properly how to pronounce her last name.
Alexa Mirchou is the practice manager and MSO owner of Bellevue Health. I met Alexa, a few months ago, and she just has an incredible story of how she overcame probably one of the biggest traumas you could have in a young life. We're going to hear about that. She's an MBA from Loyola. Can we just say, oh, wow, brains and beauty, very exciting. Please help me welcome Alexa Mirchou.
Very nice.
Mirchou.
Thank you guys so much. I just want to say I'm so honored to be here. I have listened to podcasts every single morning for the past, I don't know how many years, and they've helped me so much. So this is quite an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I've met you in person, but I'm gonna pause that story. I'm gonna get into our normal questions, and then when it's time, I'll talk about my experience meeting you in person. So my first question for you is, what is a mantra or phrase you live by as a leader?
I love this question. And my immediate thought was actually a quote by my dad that he used to say all the time as a kid, when I was a kid. And I never really digested it until I was older. And it was the mantra of do not be afraid to work hard. And it's a pretty simple mantra. And I never really understood what he meant by it until later in life. But later I dissected it more. And from my understanding of the phrase, he meant it as do not be afraid to overwork yourself, to sacrifice, to do what it takes to get to where you want to be. Do not be afraid of how you're going to look to others because you're working so hard. And I think it's so relevant now more than ever, especially now in a society where people really care or try to prioritize work-life balance, or they think they're overdoing their workload, or they think their sacrifices aren't worth it. So that mantra has always stuck with me, because if I ever had to stay late at the office, if I ever had to work weekends, just that saying of do not be afraid of it really stuck with me since I was a kid. So I have to thank God for that mantra.
I'm going to tell my son that mantra. To work hard.
Yeah,
I love it. And it's definitely something that I've seen you live by. So tell me, I love that you brought up your dad. Tell me a defining moment in your journey, because I have a feeling he plays a big part of this journey.
So I have a very peculiar journey with how I became a business owner. So I'd always grown up in the medical field, in the sense that my father was an internal medicine doctor, and he had a family practice, and it was called Bellevue Medical. And this practice raised me. I used to run in the halls of this practice. The second I turned the legal age to work, my dad put me straight to work for the practice. He put my brothers to work here. This practice put food on our table, a roof over our head. It was the only reason we were able to have an education, have clothes. It was the root of everything for my family, this practice. He unfortunately had a really sudden death. He had a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, and it was really a traumatic, harsh surprise to my family. And at this time, I was doing my MBA at Loyola. I was getting my MBA in finance. My background is I have a healthcare administration degree also from Loyola, and I had no idea what to do when this happened. I was 23, and all I knew was I needed to come back and just keep running this business. So my dad, he had over 6,000 patients in the system, and there were all these people that didn't have their doctor anymore. So I had to make the decision at 23 to come back, roll my sleeves up, get to work, and it was the most terrifying thing I've ever done. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea if it was going to work, but that is how I came into this industry, how I came into this business. And God, now we've grown it into not only, before it was an internal medicine practice, and now it's neurosurgery, orthopedics, pain management. We have 2 locations, and I'm working on the 3rd. And we've tripled the staff, we've tripled quadrupled the numbers. It's just turned into this beautiful just monster of a practice, and I couldn't be more grateful to carry his name. I couldn't be more grateful to keep it going, and that's how it came to be.
Well, that is a serious defining moment, and obviously I'm so sorry for the loss of your dad, and I pray that his memory is a light. The fact that you are carrying on the legacy that he started has got to feel just so incredible.
It's the greatest honor of my life. It makes the hard days a lot easier to handle because it's bigger than me. It's a bigger purpose. So yeah,
I also want to let you know. So I met Alexa in person. I had to go do some IT related stuff. I brought donuts, and I have 2 daughters, and I always pride myself in doing better, right? Do better as a man. Do better. It's like Cass and I talk privately all the time that she could be very demanding, and there's a certain perspective that women that are demanding get, whereas a man that's demanding gets respect. They're like, oh, he's a hard driver. And then a woman that's demanding gets demeaned behind her back. And I like the fact that Cass is demanding and wants results, right? So I want to do better. And I'm saying this because when I went to see Alexa, and I guess I owe you an apology for this. I don't know if I said this, but my vibe was, "Hi, little girl, where's your dad?" And she's like, "He died."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, what are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm in charge."
Yeah.
And I was like really off-put by that. Now I didn't say it in a condescending way. I'm embellishing for this interview, but I was surprised. And the reason I bring it up is this. Not only are you carrying on your dad's legacy, you do it with poise and grace, and you quietly assume the role that you have as a leader without making people feel small, even when they're coming at you. And look, you have a curse, which is a very nice curse. You look very young. So you said this all happened when you were 23. I don't know how old you are now, but you look like you're 23. Maybe you are. So, I mean, when I met you, I'm like, a little justified in that you are rather young looking to be running a practice, but you handled me with a lot of grace, and I can guarantee you this: I will not be the last person to look at you and go, "Where's your dad?"
I get it every day. I get it every single day. Every single day.
So I've apologized and forgiven myself
all the time.
And in this conversation. So I'm going to ask you a more appropriate question, which is, what's something that currently makes your company and your practice special?
I would say exactly that. I would say that is our edge. So it's so funny because every single day, people in the industry and people in the community who knew my dad, I think that if they don't know what happened to him, they just assumed he's still alive, and he just kind of brought me in, and now I'm like it's like a mentorship thing. And when they learn about what happened to him and that I had moved back, and I mean, I work in his office every single day. I'm still walking the same halls. They're just they have this look on their face, kind of doubting me of like, you're you? And honestly, before, I used to not only expect it, I thrived off of it. I used to love when people used to just question me and question if I could pull it off, if I can do it. It took a long time to see it that way, for sure, but it was something that I just expected, that I'm no longer surprised by it. I no longer get offended by it. And it's more of like, let me show you how I work. Let me show you how this all played out. So I absolutely would say that I like to use it to my advantage. And what makes us different, especially now that my brother runs the business now with me. So I have my background, my MBA is in finance, and he's a paralegal. So we're just a duo of business and legal. And so we have also shifted the practice to being personal injury now rather than insurance, which a lot of practices don't make that shift. And it was a very difficult one. But what makes us different is that not only of us as leaders, because my brother is quite young as well, we don't see it from just a particular medical lens. We see it from a holistic lens of business, legal, care, and medicine. And when we've seen our competition who primarily run it as just from a doctor's perspective, it is so different than our model, which is combining all of those elements. And with my business background, I'm able to not only make it so efficient as a business model, but I see it from the perspective of also caring for our employees and not just seeing it as like a health care machine, which that's not the way my father ran it at all, but that is very much the way a lot of other practices run it. Their practices are very much ran like a zoo, and they care a lot about the numbers, and they care a lot about the quotas, especially healthcare systems, versus our approach. We see it from how can we help our patients? How can we help our employees? How can we have our doctors have a better experience of coming in for work and leaving with a smile on their face? So I would say that's what makes us different in the sense of our structure, is because we're so young that we understand that we don't want people to come here miserable in a workplace, and we don't want our patients to walk into a zoo and feel like the doctors didn't care for what they had to say, which once again, that's not how my father ran it, but that is something that we saw everywhere else. So I love that I'm young because I feel like I have a good ear for things like that versus someone.
You're bringing a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
You're not bringing this legacy perspective in terms of quality care. Yes.
Yeah.
But, and like bringing your dad's kind of keeping your dad's memory alive in the practice. But in terms of like how you're running the practice, you've shed the healthcare legacy, which is the bad one, right? This insurance legacy of, we like to call it weaponized administrative burden that the healthcare payers really put, trying not to pay. And look, I don't know that they're bad. They're a business they're trying to be profitable, right? But when you have to choose profitability or care, this is what ends up happening. So you've said we actually can do both. We can provide care and we can be profitable. And how we do that is we leave behind that administrative burden. Bye-bye.
That's exactly correct. Yes.
I love that. It's very smart. Very smart.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I also wanted to say, and I know you have another question about GrowthCast, but I wanted to say that having lost somebody close to me, just like you did, and carrying on their legacy is the best way I feel to honor them. Not that everybody has to do that. Like some people have a picture and that works for them, or another ritual, but I share the same path with you of losing somebody close to me and carrying on their legacy and feeling like it's a very warm feeling when you go, they would have wanted this. So I think it's a very honorable thing that you get to do, and fortunate, right? Fortunate that you have the talent and that you are who you are and that you chose to take this path on, and you get the reward of honoring your dad.
1000%. And I'm very grateful I had I don't know how, the mental capacity to do it, because at the time, I imagine some other people in my position wouldn't even be able to get out of bed, let alone run a business, let alone
I can understand that.
Assume just the most fires every single day and just how to restructure. Like that is the last thing they want to do while grieving their father. So I'm very grateful at the time, and by the way that I am, that I was able to assume it, because like you said, other people, just having a picture, remembering their anniversary every year, that is how they do it, and that works for a lot of people. But this road fills cups more, in the internal cup, the way your soul feels, and it makes you feel like they're still here in a way, you know?
Yeah, it's wonderful.